My beloved soul, something is about to be revealed, and the moment you begin to hear this, you will feel a quiet recognition in your spirit. Not fear. Not confusion. A pull. A draw. A sense that you've stumbled into something meant for you. There is a reason you couldn't scroll away. There is a reason your heart leaned in. Someone around you is not just thinking about you, they are choosing you. And the speed of their choice is not chaos, it is clarity. Heaven has begun accelerating what once moved slowly, not to scare you, but to show you that delay is no longer required. If your heart feels calm and curious at the same time, keep listening. Something is unfolding, and it has your name on it. And as you listen, breathe, like this moment deserves space. Because it does. They want to move toward marriage quickly, not because they are reckless, but because they are ready. Something in their spirit recognized you the way a key recognizes a lock it was designed for. Something clicked. That click you feel is not pressure, it is confirmation. There is a difference. Pressure shoves. Confirmation invites. They are not trying to claim you to avoid loneliness. They are trying to choose you because their searching ended the moment clarity arrived. Heaven is not rushing you into something fragile. Heaven is removing what no longer needs to stand in the way. That is why the timing feels unfamiliar. Not wrong. Not dangerous. Just unfamiliar. If this is landing in your chest like truth, don't run. Just notice it. You were hidden for a season, and that was protection. Not punishment. Your heart was being guarded until your spirit was mature enough to choose from wisdom instead of wounds. That is why something feels different now. This does not feel like begging for someone's effort. This does not feel like chasing someone's energy. It feels like someone arriving. Showing up. Speaking clearly without shaking. They are not trying to convince you with noise. They are proving themselves with steadiness. A person who once hesitated now speaks openly. A person who once avoided seriousness now invites it. The shift didn't start with you. It started within them. You are witnessing the result, not the beginning. Fast movement does not mean foolishness when the foundation was built in silence. Readiness shortens timelines. Readiness makes yesterday's distance unnecessary. Readiness closes the gap between someday and now. This is why conversations feel deeper. Why planning doesn't feel suffocating. Why imagining the future doesn't trigger panic the way it once did. You are not being dragged forward. You are being met where you already are. The timing didn't suddenly speed up. Your healing did. And when healing becomes complete enough to hold what it prayed for, heaven removes the waiting. Heaven says, you are ready now. This is not a message asking you to drop your wisdom. It is a message reminding you that wisdom does not always move slowly. Sometimes wisdom says, this is it. Stop running. You are not being instructed to leap blindly. You are being guided to walk consciously. Ask questions. Speak boundaries. Their response to your honesty will reveal everything. Real alignment does not collapse when examined. It becomes stronger. If they can hold the weight of your voice, your past, your truth, then they can hold a covenant. That is what marriage requires. Not perfection. Partnership. Before we continue deeper, pause and notice something. If peace is growing louder than fear, that is not an accident. That is heaven confirming alignment. If this message is touching something real inside you, you can acknowledge it without committing instantly. And if you feel spiritually seen, take a moment to add a like, not out of pressure, but as a whisper to heaven that says, I am listening. And if your heart feels called to support messages like this reaching others, you may offer a simple subscribe so you do not miss what heaven reveals next. Only if it feels right. Only if your spirit nods. And now, breathe. Because what comes next will take you even deeper. My beloved soul, you are stepping into the territory of deeper recognition now. This is where the mind begins to understand what the heart already knew. The reason this connection feels fast is because your spirit was prepared before your mind realized it. The lessons, the heartbreaks, the delays, the closed doors, none were accidental. They trained you to recognize sincerity when it finally arrived. They sculpted your intuition so you could tell the difference between chaos and clarity. In the past, you mistook adrenaline for destiny. You mistook emotional highs for commitment. You mistook the intensity of confusion for the intensity of love. But this is different. This is quiet. Steady. Serious. Almost unsettling in how peaceful it feels. And that peace is the sign. This person is not coming to distract you from your purpose. They are coming to align with it. They are not showing up to take you away from yourself, but to grow with who you already are. Their energy does not shrink you, it stretches you. It makes you think bigger. It makes you speak more honestly. It makes you consider a future without feeling like you'll lose yourself inside it. That is what readiness feels like. And readiness often looks like speed because once clarity arrives, confusion no longer deserves time. Heaven is not accelerating recklessly. Heaven is accelerating efficiently. There is a difference. Feel that difference in your body before you argue against it in your mind. They are not trying to marry you fast because it is impulsive. They want to move forward because delay would disrespect what they know now. They have lived enough life to understand the value of stability. They have lost enough to know the cost of indecision. They have played enough games with the world to realize they want something the world cannot offer: commitment, partnership, a home for their soul, not just their body. This is not a person chasing completion. This is a person seeking alignment. And alignment does not wait forever once revealed. That is why they speak differently. That is why their eyes linger longer. That is why the future is no longer a topic they avoid, because fear is no longer holding their tongue. And listen carefully, my beloved soul. If they truly want a future with you, you will know it by how they respond to your boundaries. A person meant for you will not panic if you ask for clarity. They will not disappear when you speak honestly. They will not punish you for needing time to understand your emotions. They will remain. They will lean in. They will respond, not run. That is what maturity sounds like. That is what readiness looks like. Love that collapses when you speak is not love. It is dependency. But love that expands when you share truth is partnership. And partnership is the energy that leads to marriage, not pressure. Take a moment. Breathe. Let your intuition speak without interruption. You do not have to answer every question today. You do not have to know every detail of the future. You only have to acknowledge that something inside you recognizes what is happening. That recognition is not weakness. It is awareness. And if this message is resonating with you, if it is calming your spirit more than it is activating your fear, then trust that. Trust what feels like alignment, not what feels like panic. Fear makes noise. Truth makes sense. And my beloved soul, as you listen, if something about this message feels sacred, if something feels like it is speaking directly to you, not in generalities but in precision, then gently let your spirit respond. A like is not just a button. It is a signal. I hear this. I receive this. I am open. A subscribe is not a commitment to a platform. It is a commitment to your growth. I am choosing not to forget what heaven is teaching me. Only do it if it aligns, not from pressure, but from recognition. Now breathe once more. Because what comes next will reveal why heaven is choosing this timing. My beloved soul, what you are feeling now is not coincidence. It is alignment beginning to organize your life in real time. Heaven is revealing that the speed of this connection is not about urgency, it is about elimination. The elimination of distractions. The elimination of the wrong paths. The elimination of emotional noise that once made you question your worth. When heaven prepares something for you, obstacles are not needed anymore. Delays stop protecting and start preventing. The season of waiting served a purpose, but that purpose has now been fulfilled. That is why movement feels different. That is why hesitation feels out of place. You are not being pushed forward, you are being released forward, like a gate unlocked after a long journey. Listen to the subtle shift. You are not scared of the future the way you used to be. You do not tense up when commitment is mentioned. You do not feel the instinct to run. You feel the instinct to evaluate. To observe. To respond with clarity instead of fear. That emotional shift is not accidental. It is preparation. When fear leaves the room, clarity becomes the loudest voice. You are becoming able to hear what your spirit has been trying to say for months. This might be safe now. Not perfect. Not guaranteed. But safe enough to explore. Safe enough to speak. Safe enough to take a step without feeling like you are betraying yourself. That is what readiness feels like. Not excitement alone, permission. And the person who wants to move toward marriage with you is not blind to this. They feel the shift too. They see what you carry. They recognize the way you show up in silence, not just in moments of beauty. They have witnessed your emotional honesty, your restraint, your patience, your refusal to force someone to love you. That is what changed them. Not a dramatic moment, not a sudden realization, but the quiet consistency of who you are. They reached certainty because your energy made one thing undeniably clear: losing someone like you would cost more than committing to you ever could. That is why they speak differently now. That is why they ask deeper questions. Because when the heart recognizes home, distance becomes unbearable. You were never meant to be someone's temporary comfort. You were meant to be someone's answered prayer. You were not being ignored in the seasons where nothing happened. You were being prepared. Heaven needed your heart to heal so you would not sabotage what was meant to stay. Heaven needed your mind to grow so you would not mistake chaos for passion. Heaven needed your standards to rise so you could finally see the difference between attention and intention. And now, the moment has come where intention is standing in front of you, asking to be acknowledged. That is why this feels fast. Not because the connection is weak, but because the soul has already recognized what the mind is just beginning to understand. And hear this clearly: someone who wants a life with you will show it through their willingness to communicate. They will not punish your questions. They will not weaponize your caution. They will not disappear when the conversation becomes serious. They will stay. They will listen. They will share their own fears instead of pretending not to have any. They will want to know what trust looks like to you. They will ask, what would make you feel safe? They will want to build with you, not perform for you. That is what alignment sounds like. Not thunder. Not fireworks. A door opening. Pause for a moment. Feel into your body. Does your spirit feel tight, or does it feel spacious? Because alignment creates space. It does not trap you. And if this message is helping you breathe deeper, then that is your first sign of confirmation. If it is helping you see things more clearly, that is your second. If it feels like someone finally put words to what you couldn't explain, that is your third. You are not imagining this. You are awakening to it. If this is speaking to you, my beloved soul, gently tap the like button, not out of pressure, but as an energetic exchange that says, I am present for this clarity. And if you feel called to stay connected to messages that strengthen you, subscribe so you do not miss what heaven continues to reveal. Not out of obligation. Out of alignment. Now take one deep breath. Because the next part will explain what heaven is preparing you to receive. My beloved soul, the next truth may feel like a revelation, or like something you've known quietly all along. Heaven is not preparing you for romance, heaven is preparing you for responsibility. The kind you prayed for. The kind you once feared. The kind you are finally ready to receive. You are not being called into a relationship that drains you, but a partnership that builds with you. The speed you are experiencing is not about rushing, it is about alignment catching up with your healing. For the first time, your heart, your mind, and your spirit are not fighting each other, they are pointing in the same direction. That inner agreement is why timing is accelerating. When the inner world aligns, the outer world responds. This person who wants marriage is not showing up to complete you. They are showing up because they finally understand they cannot build the life they want alone. They are not looking for someone to rescue them. They are looking for someone to rise with them. Their past taught them that independence is not the same as isolation. Their journey clarified that strength is not the absence of partnership, it is the ability to sustain one. That is why their intentions feel different. They have outgrown situations that ask for less. They have outgrown connections that collapse under truth. They have outgrown the version of themselves that was afraid of choosing. They are not choosing quickly, they are choosing clearly. You are not being asked to abandon your discernment. You are being asked to use it from a place of peace instead of defense. Pay attention not to what they say but to what they sustain. Do they follow through? Do they remember what matters to you? Do they adjust when something hurts you? Do they remain present without needing to be chased? These are signs of readiness. These are signs of emotional adulthood. A person who wants a life with you will not ask you to shrink to fit inside it. They will make space, real space, space where both of you can exist without sacrificing the parts of yourselves that took years to heal. And if fear rises, let it. Not to obey it, but to observe it. Fear is only memory. It is not truth. It is a reminder of where you came from, not where you are going. If the fear you feel is quieter than it used to be, that is healing. If it dissolves when met with honesty, that is safety. If it steps aside when clarity speaks, that is readiness. Healing does not mean the absence of fear, healing means fear no longer makes decisions for you. Breathe into that realization. You have not failed because you still feel caution. You have succeeded because you are no longer ruled by it. My beloved soul, there is something important heaven needs you to understand now. The past was not a void. It was foundation. Every delay taught you the shape of real peace. Every disappointment taught you what inconsistency sounds like. Every heartbreak taught you where your boundaries live. If you had received this connection before you learned those lessons, you would not have recognized it. You would have sabotaged it. You would have mistaken steadiness for boredom. You would have confused calm with lack. But now you can tell the difference. That is why timing matters. Heaven did not withhold the blessing. Heaven waited for the version of you strong enough to keep it. So listen to this with the part of you that is ready. If someone is showing up for you with clarity, with calmness, with consistency, it is not a trap, it is an answer. If someone is treating you like a choice and not an option, it is not manipulation, it is a sign of maturity. If someone is speaking about the future without trembling, it is not foolish, it is someone who finally understands that peace is worth choosing. And if this message feels like it is reading something you never said out loud, that is not coincidence. That is resonance. If your heart feels the shift, let it be acknowledged. A like is a whisper to heaven, I'm receiving this. A subscribe is a doorway, I want to keep walking with clarity. Do it only if your spirit nods. Only if something inside says, this is for me. Take a deep breath now. Because the final part will not just speak to you, it will speak for you. My beloved soul, what you are stepping into now is not guessing, not hoping, not waiting for signs you have to chase. It is alignment revealing itself without force. This final understanding is the one heaven needs you to hold. Speed is not danger when the foundation is solid. Acceleration is not recklessness when the soul has matured. Quick movement does not signal confusion when clarity is present. You are not being swept away. You are being escorted into the next chapter by guidance, not impulse. Someone wants to marry you quickly because they finally see the truth. You are not someone to explore. You are someone to choose. They are not interested in sampling connection like a temporary experience. They are ready to anchor, to root, to build, to stay. And if that frightens you a little, that is normal. Transformation always trembles before it settles. But notice what your spirit feels beneath the trembling: anticipation, not alarm. Recognition, not resistance. Something in you already knows, this is the conversation you prayed for in silence. This is the energy you hoped existed. This is the maturity you feared you would never see. And yes, you still get to move with wisdom. You still get to ask questions. You still get to request clarity. You still get to have boundaries. The right person does not run from those things. The right person participates in them. They sit with the hard conversations. They stay present through the uncomfortable moments. They do not abandon the connection when vulnerability asks for patience. They do not weaponize silence when you need answers. They lean closer. That is how you know the difference between someone who wants you for a moment and someone who wants you for a life. My beloved soul, heaven is not asking you to hand over your power. Heaven is asking you to use it consciously. To choose connection from strength, not survival. To build from fullness, not emptiness. To love without surrendering the parts of yourself that took years to rebuild. You are not being asked to trade your voice for companionship. Your voice is part of why you are being chosen. You are not being asked to dim your standards. Your standards are the very reason this connection is becoming clear. You did not wait in vain. You grew in the waiting. And heaven does not waste growth. So here is what you must remember: marriage, in alignment, does not feel like disappearing into someone. It feels like joining someone without losing yourself. It feels like stepping into a shared future where both voices matter. Where decisions are not demanded but discussed. Where love is not proven through suffering but through presence. Where partnership is not about possession but about responsibility. That is the difference. That is why this feels like peace disguised as urgency, because your spirit knows what it took your heart years to learn. This is what readiness sounds like. And if this message is landing like truth, if your chest feels softer, your breath deeper, your mind quieter, if the fear is still there but not steering anymore, then pause and acknowledge that. A like is not just support, it is alignment. A subscribe is not obligation, it is permission to receive what heaven keeps trying to tell you. And if your heart feels called to give more, to energetically open a door for what comes next, then you are free to do so in your way, not from pressure, but from participation. Now breathe, my beloved soul. Something is being placed in your hands. Not an answer, an invitation. Not a command, a choice. Heaven will not drag you. Heaven will stand beside you and say, if you walk, I walk. And if you stay, I stay with you while you learn to trust the ground beneath your feet again. There is no punishment in taking your time. There is no failure in asking for reassurance. But do not confuse caution with retreat. Do not confuse memory with prophecy. The past is not what's happening, it is what prepared you for what's happening. So listen to your spirit one last time. If the peace you feel is louder than the fear you remember, that is your sign. And if you are ready, even quietly, even trembling, even unsure, whisper it to your own heart. I am not being rushed. I am being aligned. If you're still here, still breathing, still listening, then the message found the right soul. And what comes after this depends on one thing. Are you ready to stop expecting loss, and start expecting alignment?